To say what you wanna hear, I will bite my tongue till I disappear. Take me apart, let the pieces fall to the cold ground where they belong. I'll play the part.
Good morning. Hello. Good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm very happy to see you. I'm David Boles, and this is David Boles Live. This is our 4th live stream. 3, if you're not counting our live technical test we did last Friday. So we're on a good streak. We're building people and followers and watchers. And I thank you for being here with me today. We have an exciting stream today. We're going to talk about copyright, talk about streaming music, talk about adaptation, talk a little bit about Husker football, just to clarify a couple of things, logic in writing, and anything else that's on your mind. If you want to get into chat and ask some questions, that would be quite wonderful. The lovely Jana Marie is not able to be here live today for lunchtime ASL. But that doesn't mean she's not going to make an appearance. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later, but you will see Jana Marie. You will see some ASL happening. So we're going to start with legal stuff, which I find very, very fascinating. As you can see in our browser window, we have the Digital Millennium Copyright Act up. And we're going to discuss that in just a moment. But first, I want to start with how we stream. There are lots of ways to do a live stream. You can just go through Twitch and stream. You can go through Facebook and stream. You can go to YouTube and stream live. Or you can do multiple streams, multi-streams, that allows you to do one stream that then gets propagated across many different platforms. Now that's the most interesting way for me to stream, because you stream one place and it goes multiple places. However, if you become a Twitch partner, eventually, that can take a year or two, depending on your follower count and how many people you have interacting with you every day. I believe Twitch wants you to stream only on Twitch, which makes sense, because then you're proprietary, they can run ads, share revenue. But right now when you're starting out, you want to get known, and it's probably smarter for us just to stream to Twitch, to force everybody we know and like and love to go to Twitch and register and follow us, so we build up our follower count. However, there are some people who may be deaf or who may not know English very well who appreciate the fact that YouTube and Facebook caption a live stream. Not necessarily in real time, but after the video is processed, you can then watch the live stream recorded and watch the captions. We're going to talk more about that, captions, a little bit later. But I'm setting up this story about how things work with music licensing. So one thing that I've noticed in getting ready to do this live stream by watching other live streamers is the streamers who have music going on. As you can hear this lovely music, it really helps fill the empty spaces. It covers noise from outside, sirens, cars, if you're in a big city. Our air conditioning is running. You might be able to hear that right now because the music is transitioning. It's an annoying sound if you're a radio and audio person. But the sound is still there, but it's kind of being masked by this lovely music. And the problem is you just can't play a song, normally, any song, and publish it in a live stream. And that's what a lot of live streamers don't realize, is that they are publishers of content. So if someone would take this live stream that we're doing and repost it somewhere else, and then add their own advertising to what we're doing, that would be a violation of our rights, our copyright, a violation of the DMCA. So we chose to use Streamlabs as our live stream software. And one of the neat things about Streamlabs, it's Streamlabs OBS. There is OBS, which is like the free version of the multiple live cast streaming. And then some people take it and monetize it, make it better, and that's what Streamlabs has done. So there's Streamlabs OBS, or for short, SLOBS, S-L-O-B-S. Regular people who use OBS just call it OBS. Streamlabbers call it Streamlabs OBS. So one of the benefits you get when you stream live with Streamlabs is you get a free t-shirt. And I have never turned down anything free, especially a t-shirt. And when you order your free t-shirt, you can see what it looks like. And the free t-shirt that I saw was black, had a little tiny logo, a Streamlabs logo right here. Sort of classy looking. Well, my free t-shirt arrived yesterday. I'm going to share it with you now. This is my free Streamlabs t-shirt. Okay. Cute, right? So if I were wearing this is how it looks. Not a logo, right here. It's ubiquitous, unubiquitous, and a little classy. No, full cartoon with words, Streamlabs. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to wear this. I'm not saying I'm not appreciative, but it's a much bigger logo than I thought I was getting. And if we keep going with Streamlabs, I think you get a free hoodie later, so I'd be very interested to see what kind of hoodie we get. But I will wear the shirt. I'm not denying the shirt. So Streamlabs is streaming us right now. And so far, it's been great. I've had some technical issues. I've needed some help. I get in touch with them. They respond right away. Good company. I appreciate them. And one of the things that I use with Streamlabs is this license to stream live music that is an add-on through Monster Cat. And this is where it gets really interesting about streaming and streaming rights and what it means. So if you want to stream live music as part of your live stream, you need to purchase the right, a license, to stream that music so you don't get in trouble with your hosting company when the artist or the publisher goes and files against you a DMCA violation and you get a strike. And usually if you get 3 strikes, like on Facebook or YouTube or someplace else, they delete your account. You're removed because they don't want to be sued even though they're not really responsible for what you post. And some people abuse the DMCA and go after bloggers and streamers and say, hey, you're using my content. And you have a right to respond if you believe it's fair use or if you created the content in the first place. And I have struck people who have used my content from bolesblogs.com and other places and published it on their websites for profit. So I understand how it works. I have never been officially struck by a DMCA Copyright Act on my own because I'm very careful. I respect the rights and the creators and the payments and all of that. So I thought I was in the clear with Streamlabs, although they don't really have anything to do with it, and Monster Cat, which does have a little something to do with it. Whoops, we're doing that in a moment. This. We publish my blog on WordPress.com. And WordPress is a DMCA safe harbor for blog publishers. It's kind of an interesting article if you're interested. Written in 2010, so this DMCA thing has been going on for a long time. If you're interested, you can go read that article and find out more information about DMCA and what it means. It can be very confusing. But the rule of thumb is if it doesn't belong to you, if you didn't create it, you can't use it. And it's a problem for places like YouTube, because performers, musical performers, like to perform songs. And they would record a song, a cover song, upload it to YouTube, and YouTube, in the past, would get in trouble because they would get DMCA, they would get a strike. And then they go to the person who uploaded it, and YouTube would either have to remove the video or the user would remove the video. But usually it's hidden from view, which is a terrible thing because you did all this work, you uploaded your music video, and then it gets removed because of a copyright claim. That's what DMCA is, a copyright claim. So YouTube, some kind of fancy thing, I guess paying a lot of money, made an agreement, a licensing agreement with music publishers to pretty much allow any music to go up on their website and it could stay, and the money that would come from that video would either be split with the person who wrote the song and the performer, or all of the money from that performance would go to the publisher, not the person who uploaded the video. But at least that meant your performance was still available and people could watch and enjoy. And for a long time, one publisher, Bob Dylan, he has now sold all of his music, publishing rights. But back then, any Bob Dylan song that got recorded and uploaded as a video to YouTube was immediately, before it was even published, immediately struck. And people were so upset that they could not celebrate Bob Dylan on their own, with their own version, and not have it seen by people. And I understand Bob Dylan owned the rights to his songs. He did not want other people uploading them and performing them on YouTube. And then something changed. I guess money was paid, and you can now upload Bob Dylan songs to YouTube, as I understand it. Maybe that's changed. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving you legal advice. So, now we go back to Monster Cat. To be able to stream live music on this stream, I purchased a yearly license from Monster Cat, which I think was $75. It used to be $60 for the year. Now it's $75, which is absolutely reasonable to be able to stream for hours and hours live music playing behind you. And let me see if I can find this. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. Aha. Okay, so then you go into Monster Cat as part of your gold license, which allows you to select safe music to stream on your stream. As part of your gold subscription, account security, creator license, notifications, connections, creator licenses. Okay, this is the really important part of this whole thing. And as you can see on the right, you can update your licenses. These licenses are for content creators only. That's me, not organizations or commercial use. So, like, if CBS television wanted to use some of this music and put it on their TV show, that's a different license, not what we're doing. If someone wanted to advertise bug spray using this music on television for profit, you can't use this music under this license. You might be able to use it in a different kind of license. So as long as you're active and you're paying for your streaming license, everything's fine. And you can even, if you want to, which I did because I'm paranoid and old, I added Twitch, Boles Books, which is our channel ID, and our licensing status is good to go. You can also add YouTube. There's my channel ID, which translates into Boles Blues, and we're good to go. Okay, so YouTube, Twitch, there, you're good to go. You can go down here, add another platform. Oh no, there's no other platform. There's Twitch and there's YouTube. Okay. What category are you in? Well, we are just a regular creator, a channel creator. We're We're not a music channel, and we're not business or commercial. So I thought we were all great to go. Good to go. Stream the music, Facebook, YouTube, directly to Twitch. I thought this, which is no excuse under the law, I thought this was just to make things a little bit easier. So if you get a copyright note or a strike against you, it precludes this because they'll check, say, oh no, look, he has a license. So we don't need to worry about him. And I didn't understand why it wasn't set up for Facebook, but I thought, well, maybe Facebook just isn't set up yet. Well, as it turns out, Facebook is different, Facebook/Instagram, although we do not live stream to Instagram. It turns out that Facebook is an entirely different beast. I'm going to show you now how. So yesterday after the live stream, I go into Twitch and I create highlights of segments of this show. 10-minute segments. ASL, me ranting about GoPro, me ranting about Apple. Had a big thing yesterday about Aristotle's Poetics, combined with Squid Game, making them little digestible bites. Instead of a 2-hour stream, it's a 10-minute stream. So I go to Facebook, and I see here our lovely friend Donna sent me a little message. Hello, my favorite color is blue. Well, it's my favorite color too. And I was replying to Donna. And this is on Facebook. And then I go up here. Look at the very top. If you can see the very top. The red thing. I don't know if my mouse is showing. Okay. So I clicked. It's a little bit bigger, but it doesn't look good. Okay, so I see this note. And this is the link to my live stream that was streamed on Facebook yesterday. Your video is partially muted due to a copyright match. Now, I immediately saw that and became sick to my stomach because I try to be very careful about this sort of thing. Now, this looks to me more like a warning. But I know one thing about Facebook and everywhere else I publish. The only thing I have published that would be muted is the music streaming from Monster Cat. So I did not listen to the stream. I don't know how they're muting it. I don't know if they're just cutting my voice because the stream puts the voice and the music in the same audio channel. So I'm assuming that there are parts of that live stream that are not captioned and that just go silent while a song is playing. I don't really understand it. But it's, as far as I can tell, it's not an official strike against me. Now, there have been times when I have used like 10-second snippets of people speaking from an interview on YouTube, on Facebook for the humanmeme.com podcast. And those notes say, hey, look, you're using a little snippet here, so you can either take it down, but if you leave it up, any advertising revenue that comes from people listening to your podcast is going to go to the person whose 10-second snippet you used. Okay. I don't care because I don't get advertising revenue from YouTube or Facebook. I don't know if they are monetizing it or not because I have all ads blocked on YouTube and on Facebook because I pay to have ads removed. But that's fine. I'm not trying to steal content from other people. So this bothered me. Your video is partially muted due to a copyright match because it makes me wonder that something else might be coming. And I get an official strike, a DMCA strike against me, and you get 3 strikes and usually you're out. You don't want a strike. So the way to avoid a strike is just to delete the video. Which is usually the first opportunity you have, and you're in compliance. So yesterday, I decided to contact Monster Cat just for clarification, because I obviously was very confused. And this is what I emailed to Monstercat. Hello, I stream live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I have cleared Twitch and YouTube on your site with my gold membership that I just showed you. Is Facebook included in my streaming license? If yes, how do I enable it? And if not, what might I do about this other than just not streaming live to Facebook via slobs? Thank you. And then I sent that email to support. They say 3 to 5 business days. We'll get back to you. Well, they got back to me about 10 o'clock last night, which is amazing and wonderful because it gives me my answer for today. We're not streaming on Facebook. This is the official reply to my support request. Thank you for your email. For Facebook and Instagram, we currently don't have any options for licensing. So you're free to use our music as you'd like. We just ask that you credit us and the artists and songs where appropriate. Just so you know, there's no guarantee that your videos will be free from claims, copyright claims, if you do use our music in your content. There is a risk to being claimed, DMCA claimed, or having your content taken down. I hope this helps. Let us know if you have any other questions or concerns. They say you can only tear a piece of paper, I think 8 times, and then you can't tear it anymore. I'm going to go for 24. That's it. So my wonderful plan to stream live on 3 systems, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, have been dashed. And one of our most loyal followers is the lovely Donna, who is deaf and who lives in Iowa. And she is a good friend of Jana's and a good friend of mine. And because of this copyright claim, she cannot watch us on Facebook with the closed captions. And she really can't go to Twitch because Twitch doesn't have closed captions, which I'm going to get into in a moment. But I suppose she could go to YouTube and watch us. But it's all very disappointing. To me, because I don't really know anything and I'm not a lawyer. Right on the camera. As if by design. I thought a music license for streaming was a music license for streaming. I didn't really understand clearly that a music license stream is and can be limited to only certain places you can stream. Now, when we do ASL videos with Jana Marie, as you know, we turn down the music because deaf culture is in a classroom, total immersion. I do a little bit of voice translating in the intro and the outro of Visiting with Jana Marie. But when you're in a classroom or when you're teaching ASL, turn off your voice, lock in your vocal box, total immersion. You don't rely on voicing or lip reading, you rely on learning the language. So that's why when Jana Marie's here, we turn down the sound, I turn off my microphone, I turn off the music, she goes. So that little segment is fine for streaming to Facebook because there's no music. One day we might do a whole stream that's just silent in the way of music and having microphones on, and just do a live stream of immersive ASL. That could be very interesting to some people. So for now, I wrote back to Monstercat. I said, I just want to make it absolutely clear that I'm understanding you that who would strike me on Facebook. It's not going to be Monster Cat, or would it be Monster Cat? Is it going to be the artist who is saying that I can't be on Facebook? Is there another music publisher beyond the licensor of Monster Cat that might put a strike up or put up a note telling me that I've been partially muted? So we'll see what they say. But their answer really doesn't matter because they gave me the answer, and that is, your license is not good on Facebook. So that's a little sad, a little bit disappointing. But that's life. Now we're going to take a very brief break while I get ready to talk to you about captioning. It's another technical issue that has to do with streaming, and we're having fun today with technology. Going to intermission. See you soon. you're back. And before we get into these closed caption things that you see on screen here, I want to address a couple of little things left over from yesterday and the day before. I graduated from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. I am and always have been a Husker. But that doesn't mean I can't have thoughts or criticisms about the Husker team. But I want to prove to you my bona fides, in addition to what we've already talked about. Yesterday you saw my Nebraska jersey. Today you'll see my Husker shoes with the Husker logo right there on the right foot. And on the left foot you see the Nebraska N. I'm in. Okay? So head to toe, Nebraska Cornhusker. I also have the Lego Special Edition Cornhusker Man. Quite lovely, bought several of these, creating my own cornfield. This is my Husker gnome. He has a football. He watches the games. He's a very lovely friend of mine. And he has the Husker logo. Finally, just in case you were wondering, yes, I am a member. A lifetime member of the Nebraska Alumni Association. And this is a license plate frame. And you can see it's not on my car. Because I do not have a car. I do not need a car. I believe in public transportation. I take trains and Uber and bicycles. Now, if you know, a lifetime membership to any university alumni club is a lot of money. Because it's not just one thing, it's the entire life. So it can last for 50 years. So I'm a Husker fan. Have been for a long time. But they still need to win games. Yesterday we talked about GoPro and the Hero 10 and how it does not work well as a webcam. So I'm using the Logitech Brio. I also have new LED lighting from Elgato. Keylight LED for streaming. It's a nice, softer light than what I was using before. So what am I going to do with this Hero GoPro? Yeah, it's a wonderful camera, 26 megapixels. My iPhone has 14 megapixels. So this can do very high quality, high streaming. Maybe we'll film Jana Marie doing ASL stuff on days she can't be here. So this is what I've done. Oh, there I am, reflecting my own self. I've attached this Hero 10 to a GoPro tripod. It actually is very neat. It does a lot of things. So it connects up here. You can move it back and forth, but not really sideways. Well, I guess you can if you do this. The ball joint. Okay. And then you pull this down. And tighten it up. And then you have this. Are you seeing any of this? Okay, here. This. And then it also has like a tripod. You have to make it come apart. Okay. So you can see here, it's a tripod. And then you can angle and tighten and angle and tighten. And so it becomes kind of a neat thing that isn't just this little tiny camera. Okay. I'll play with it. I'll see if it works. GoPro Hero 10. Not putting it out to pasture. Not throwing it away like I did with my Apple AirPods Pro. Alright, so now we're going to briefly discuss closed captions on Twitch. It's the one thing that's really missing from their stream. As you know, Facebook and YouTube closed caption everything. What's the difference between a closed caption and an open caption? Choice. Closed captions you can turn on and off. Open captions are just there. You see open captions more in foreign movies where you have voiceover. I don't know if you can hear sirens in the background, but the music's fading and not covering it very well. But it's okay. Everything's fine. It's life in the big city. So we have we have captions on YouTube and on Facebook, but we do not have captions on Twitch. And yesterday in our chat, the lovely Birdie stopped by and said, "Hey, fix your chat session so people can say more than 140 characters at a time." I did fix that. And she also suggested about the closed captioning issue, go on the Google and look around and see what you can find. And I did. And what I found does not really please me. So this first one, Guide to Closed Captions, Twitch Help. You know, it's okay, but it's not universal captioning. Twitch decides to caption special events that they promote, but captioning is not turned on by Twitter by default, either during the live stream or after the live stream has been processed, which I find to be a little bit disappointing and not in the same league as Facebook and YouTube. And Twitch is now owned by Amazon, and Amazon has a lot of money, so they could very easily close caption everything if they wanted to. But they choose not to. Yeah, we're a broadcaster, but it doesn't apply to regular people. Not even partner accounts, I don't think. But you can hire a service to try to caption. And there are lots of services. And they cost you money as the streamer. And it appears to work on AI, where most captions do. They aren't captioned by a real person. This is one of them. And you have to pay for it. And you have to install it. It does not, this version does not work with Slobs, Streamlab, OBS. It does not work directly with Twitch. But if you're running regular plain OBS, then you can open an OBS socket and the captions will be generated. And you can move them around. It's kind of fancy. But for what we're doing here with multi-stream and trying to be on Twitch to get the captions to work, there isn't a viable or even affordable way to do that right now. Which is a little disappointing. But we can always hope that there will be a change in that process. So now I think it's time just a little bit for the inevitable. The regular daily humiliation of yours truly, very briefly. Where is it? Playing some really bad chess. And believe me, I know this is as tedious for you is as painful it is for me. But how else are we going to learn? Learn together. Learn to suffer and suffocate. All right. Here we go. This is today's puzzle. Oh, this is October 19th. That was yesterday. Let's see. Oh, here's today's puzzle. Okay. Today's puzzle is exit stage right. White to move. And unlike Chessable, we can take all day as we try to figure out our best move. I am slightly fearful of what this hint means, because these hints are very important. Exit stage right. Does that mean the right side of the board? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. White to move. Okay, so we're going after the black king. So the king is threatening our knight. And we are threatening to checkmate, to put the black king in check. But there's a rook that's going to take us. And here's the black queen. Always ready to go. Our queen is here, protecting our knight in a way from the king who wants to take it. So stage right, I'm going to assume, is this part of the board because it's on our right side, meaning we have to force the king to the right. Maybe. I do get nervous on these live streams. I play much better when I'm by myself in a darkened room, which is probably true for 90% of the things that I do. So this queen really can't go anywhere. So we have to remember, puzzles like this, they like you to sacrifice your queen, and they like you to always put the king in check. Well, none of this puts the king in check. This will put the king in check. If I go here, the rook takes, and then what? Then I have nothing, really. But this knight protects... that space, so the king can't move there. The king could move here. I could move my queen here to prevent the king from going over there, but then this black queen would just take my queen because there's no protection. Now, if we had people in chat and they would offer me advice and assistance, I would take it. Because this is not real, this is a puzzle, this is for fun. I'm not getting any ELO points. Nobody cares if I get help from chat in a puzzle. Yes, I just it's too obvious that I want to take this rook and put the king in check. But then this rook will take my rook and put my king in check. And then I guess the queen could move here to block that check. But then this king would take my knight. And then I could go here. And then if my queen were here, my queen could go here. To check the king. And the king could not take my queen because this pawn would protect her. So if the king is here and I'm here with my queen, the king can go here. Or here. Oh, this is looking bad. Now, what I would, if I were playing this as a game against a person and not a computer, I would prefer to move here with my knight, which then puts this rook in jeopardy and gives me two files, this file and this file, for getting the king. And if this knight is here, and I put my queen here, the queen is protected by the knight. Oh, I don't know. Puzzles like sacrifices. Well, I like it. I'm going to do this. That's what I would do if I were playing a real game. Oh! Okay, not the right answer. So now this is where I get desperate because I've already messed it up. So I will say go here and here. No, they don't like that either. Oh boy, now I'm a little stuck. See, they love it when you sacrifice your queen. But I'm not sure how to sacrifice my queen. There's really no way to do it. Okay, let's get a hint. Ah, it is the knight. I just moved it the wrong direction. Okay, so this, taking this is out, which I thought was genius. And then move my queen here and put the king in check. You can't take it, can't touch it. I thought absolute, complete and total genius. Not the right answer. So that means the knight can go here, which I don't like at all, because this can take and this can take. Then I can go here, which I don't like because this can take. Then I can go here, which I don't think makes any sense whatsoever, because then the rook will take the knight, and then I'm not up anything. Then I can go here. What? Then this takes that. Doesn't make sense to me. Then I can go here, which the king will then take, which does not make sense to me. Remember, the name of this segment is Really Bad Chess, so you have to be patient. If you know the answer, find me in chat, But I usually rush these because I get very embarrassed when I make the first move. And I get it wrong. Well, if I moved here, then I'm putting the queen in jeopardy. But then this pawn just takes. And then I take with this. I don't get it. But we know it's a knight move. And the one knight move that I made was wrong. Thinking, and I'm not thinking very well. So if I move my knight, I cannot move it to put the king in any real danger. I mean, I can go here. Not there. Here. Which checks the king and threatens the queen, but easily taken by that pawn. But I'm running out of time. Oh my gosh. Now why? That was the right answer, by the way. Well, that was interesting. Now, if I move my queen here, the king will just take. And if I go here, the rook will just take. So it's not, it can't be that way. Now I could go here and here, which attacks the queen, pins the queen. Oh, it pins the queen. So if I pin the queen, then the queen can't move, really, except to take. So do I want to lose my rook, or do I want to lose my queen in the taking? I'm going to say I want to lose my rook, because then my queen can take the queen. And then what do we do? I don't know. But we're getting closer. I'm trying it. Here to here. Oops. Here to here. Oh my goodness, it was right. Well, that's interesting. And I don't understand why the black queen didn't take this. I don't know why the black queen didn't take the rook. Because you lose the queen, but you're losing the queen anyway. And you would take a rook off the board. I don't understand it. But I'm not going to argue with it because I'm going to take the queen. Oh, I'm in check. Well, that's interesting. Okay, here we go. So I'm in check. What happened is I cannot take the queen because this rook puts my king in check, which is bad. But remember, the title of this puzzle is Exit Stage Right, which makes me think, maybe it's not the black king that is exiting stage right, but my king. So I have to move my king. Because if I move my rook back, that doesn't make any sense, because then it would just take. Although I could just move it back and take. Could move my... see, if I move my king here... Yeah. I'm gonna try to move this back. No. Okay, so I think I have to move my king. Yeah. Okay. Move the king, and now... I'm trying to checkmate them, and they're checkmating me. Not checkmating, but I'm in check now with this way. So I'm exiting stage right. That's my hint. So I think I have to move again and again. So let's move the king again. So it was all king moves. Never even checked. Just kept myself out of danger. Oh, we could do yesterday's puzzle as well. And see, there's a little video you can watch. Try to help you through it. But I think that's cheating. Getting help from chat is not cheating. Solved with no hints. See, those are people. Right. Okay. Well, we've been going at this for more than half an hour. Which means it's time one more time. Take a little break. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. And now we are going to take a moment to have a little Jana Marie session. Even though she's not here live with us, she's still with us, absolutely in spirit and in purpose. So here is a blog article that I wrote in 2016. Called American Gargoyle, a cloven hoof in the homeland. The script. Now, I'll let you guess who the American Gargoyle is. Remember the year. We're in America. Here's the tweet. Started off as a podcast. Oh, look at this. A tweet. David Boles' terrifying Trump fairy tale. Oh, look, it's Jana Marie. Jana Marie again. And this is the script of American Gargoyle. So what we're going to do is, because this is a lovely live stream, we're going to listen to the original podcast of American Gargoyle. And then what we're going to do is talk about adaptation and how things translate and change from one form to another. And that's where Jana Marie comes in, because she took this podcast idea, read the script, and translated the story into ASL. And it doesn't matter if you know ASL or not, because you're going to read the script if you want to. You're going to now listen to my original performance of American Gargoyle. It's only about 15 minutes. And then you'll get to see Jana Marie's interpretation in ASL of that story. And then we're going to take the next leap and talk about adaptation generally as a writing technique and how difficult and important it is. Because as a writer, you have to be true to the original content and not just yourself. Well, we'll start with first things first. And I'm going to let the music keep playing because I can't put music on my podcast because I don't have a license. And if you do have any ideas on how to get a streaming license music that goes on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube all at the same time, please get in touch and let me know. I couldn't figure it out. So here we go. American Gargoyle. A cloven hoof in the homeland. Welcome to David Boles' Human Me. Today, American Gargoyle. A cloven hoof in the homeland. Disclaimer. Any resemblance to any character in this story with a living person is clearly coincidental, and there's no such thing as a coincidence. Disclaimer number 2. This is a modern-day fairy tale written by David Boles, and the contents are unintended for a child of any sort. Or is it? The fairy tale begins. He was born into being to never be anyone's scapegoat. His giant, bulging head and orange skin were nothing compared to the tiny size of his short-fingered Vulgarian hands and his pasty, prehistoric monkey thumbs. He first appeared out of the sulfur mist that was New York City in the dawning of the city's pornography career. And while he had no human mother or father, he had the threat of the ethereal with him. The unexplained and the discognitive were his orphan upbringers. And all he wanted out of life was to control everything, to be on everyone's mind at all times, and to never diminish in public stupidity, because he, and only he, could save the world from himself. With microscopic hands and one cloven hoof for a foot, he was always searching the streets for a broodmare to bear the bounty of his evil. And when none could be found and sourced locally, he looked over seas and land and heavenly sky to land upon the most unfortunate foreign bodies in the world, to have them bear his inhuman offspring. The gargoyle built monuments to himself, and at night, when nobody was watching, he would perch on the cornices of his towering headstone namesakes and pose for the other players in the air, becoming the very granite version of himself that so many stonecutters before him had added to architectural artifices to scare off young children and bad omens just like him. The irony of it all, the posing, the bumbling, the screaming into the air, were completely lost on our triumphant, gold-encrusted gargoyle. Being the star of his own life wasn't enough of an infection for him. To truly achieve his goal of virally infecting everyone with his blood and memes and harmonizations, he had to be prevalent in their lives, even if they had no interest in being or knowing him. The American gargoyle decided to begin a war with goodness, because it's always easier to be evil than to care to be right. And so he slaughtered tiny children, he pushed newlyweds into Niagara Falls, he euthanized any person over the age of 18 because they all smelled like life, and they all had tangled hair and would soon shrivel into wrinkles. The complete irony that he himself was 150 years old was lost on the stony brute. And so slowly, moment by method, people began disappearing from the earth, until only the young and the dumb were still breathing. And for that, the American gargoyle took pride in making New York great again. His own offspring beneath him, gnawing on the guts of snakes and the hearts of bats, paraded the gargoyle on their wretched shoulders from east coast to west, celebrating his victory over the aged and the infirm. Then, one day, with no one else about, a young child approached the Gargoyle King while he was sunning himself on the beach in a tanning bed. And the child noticed that in addition to his spectacularly tiny hands, the gargoyle in the homeland was not wearing shoes. "What's that?" she asked, pointing to his one cloven hoof. "Why, that's nothing," the gargoyle shouted, digging his one cloven foot deep into the sand. "Are you a man or a monster?" the child asked. Why, I am neither. I am a god who walks the earth, said the gargoyle, while putting a blue sock on his cloven hoof, and then a black patent leather shoe over the stockinged mount. I've never seen a cloven hoof on a god before, said the child. That's because you know nothing of whatnot, stammered the gargoyle god in the rising sea breeze. Does it hurt? Asked the child. Hurt? The gargoyle had never been asked such a question so tenderly before this moment. How would you like to walk tiptoe on one foot all day? The child took his shoe in her hand and untied the knot binding the cloven hoof. She gently removed the shoe, then slowly rolled the sock down his calf past the cloven hoof. It looks red, she said. Yes, the gargoyle replied. Shoes are hot, you know. The child took his hoof in her hands and gently started massaging the keratin layers. Does that feel better? She wondered. The gargoyle replied, Yes, that's wonderful. Nobody's ever touched my cloven hoof before. It hurts when you hide something, said the child, and she ever so gently kissed his hoof, even though it smelled of betadine and pine sol. Does that feel better? Said the gargoyle, as he lifted his cooled hoof and brought it back down sharply, deep into the eye of the little girl. You're hurting me, said the child, as the gargoyle dug his hoof deeper into her eye socket, pinning her to the ground. Such a foolish child. I am the God King, the gargoyle, triumphant, and you think you can defeat me with a kiss on the cloven hoof? I have defeated prettier, younger people than you. I was only trying to help, said the girl, drooling blood from her mouth. Eye mush dripped down her ruddy cheek. Yeah, right, said the gargoyle. Who are you helping now? The girl, now dead and unresponsive, was untucked from the gargoyle's hoof by his 3 brooding children and tossed over the railing of their penthouse-level apartment. That'll show you, the gargoyle shouted at the falling body tumbling below, to help someone more powerful than all of you. The thump of the girl's body landing on the street below was lost in the guffaw of the gargoyle as he replaced both sock and shoe to once again cover his cloven hoof from public hypocrisy. Later that night, while tucked into bed, beneath the mosquito netting covering his ornately carved bed, the gargoyle heard a tiny shout-out. I'm still here, you know, said a faint voice from somewhere. Who are you? Where are you? Show me to me, shouted the gargoyle. I'm down here, came the plaintive reply. Inside your cloven hoof. Ah! The gargoyle peeled back the sheets to look at his angry, swollen cloven hoof. That's better. I can breathe now, came the thin reply. What are you doing in my cloven hoof? Stormed the gargoyle. I'm part of you now. we'll be together forever." "Never!" The gargoyle leapt to the fireplace and used a steel truncheon to sever his cloven hoof from his body. He hopped to his penthouse window and tossed his now giggling, bloody hoof over the railing into the city below. The gargoyle returned to bed, laughing and bleeding profusely from where his shin used to be, when he heard the voice again, louder this time. "I'm still here." "Ah! Where?" The gargoyle spun around in his bed, looking. "I was stuck in your cloven hoof, but now I'm free." "Where are you, so I may cut you out as I have slayed you before?" "I'm over here and over there. I'm everywhere now. See, that's the problem with kindness. It tends to, spread around a lot." "Well, then I'll kill you all. I'll cut off every piece of me and burn it all in the fireplace. My children will eat my bones and spit them into the sea, and then toss themselves into a volcano before they can poop me out. I'll have this building destroyed and the entire Western Hemisphere nuked. Because why have such a power if you don't intend to use it and set the world afire?" "Okay, then." And the gargoyle did just as he threatened. He started by cutting off the smallest pieces of himself, there in the groin, then the heart, then his tiny little hands. When his hands were gone, he used his teeth to bite off the other bits of him, fulfilling his predestiny of saving the world from himself. His children boiled his bones and ate his marrow and tossed themselves into the great volcano before their poop came out, all while being serenaded by the sweet voice of kindness, urging them on with a friendly "hello" and a warm "I'm still here" reminder. The gargoyle knew everything, except that which he knew nothing about: kindness. For evil anneals kindness, and once annealed, kindness is super tough to get rid of because it tends to be sticky and it gets stuck in inconvenient places. Finally, with the gargoyle dead and all the nukes of the world launched to encrust the earth in amber and fire, and all his small animal-eating offspring dead and not pooping, did the old alive start wakening from the hills and the stones and the trees where they'd all been hiding, waiting forever for the gargoyle to die and pass away all the hatred in the world. And they hid in the one place they knew he'd never find them, in the goodness of the homeland. It wasn't just kindness that saved the valley that day, to preserve the earth for a bright new start. It was also the uninformed act of doing something unearned for someone who deserved nothing but pity and loathing. Because, you see, in the end of the beginning, how we choose to start determines how we end. And kindness is circular. And once you start its golden arc, kindness can only circle back on itself and close with the same intention in which it was gifted. Thank you for listening. Be a human being. Oh, that's the next thing in my SoundCloud stream to play. So, there's my old picture from 5 years ago. That was originally recorded, American Gargoyle in the Homeland, 5 years ago. Oh, it seems like I just recorded it. So now, we take a moment, and right away, we go to American Gargoyle ASL Edition. So it's fresh in your mind. You know the story. This is how Janet translated it into American Sign Language for a deaf audience. And we'll see if you can, even if you don't know ASL, let this wash over you. Let it imbue you. Let it take you over as an experience. And see what you can take out of it just based on our movements, facial expression. See if you can find those points in the story. And there you have it. The Jana Marie translation of American Gargoyle. Fascinating, interesting. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. We'll be back in a flash. And we are back. Thank you for sticking with us. So, we just had a very wonderful experience with translating an original story of mine, American Gargoyle, into ASL. Now, as you know, the original was written by me and performed by me as audio, part of the podcast for Human Meme. And then Jana decided to translate it, my story, my written story, my audio story, into the visual language of ASL. It's a challenging feat because it's not a word-for-word translation. This is not the English syntax, the PSE Pigeon-signed English version, or the SEE signing exact English version of my story into ASL. It is an English story based on text translated into a visual-only language of storytelling. And you can see the things, the killing, the chopping off, the bleeding, the 3 kids being thrown over the balcony, kindness everywhere. You could see all of that visually in her story, even if you didn't understand exactly what she was saying at all times. But the similarity between the original story and the adaptation into ASL was clean and very clear and wonderfully on target and respectful. And I'm very lucky to have her and to have her do that. Have her in my life. Now, one of the other things that I really love when it comes to adaptation, in addition to doing it myself, is reading adaptations. And this is currently one of my favorite adaptations, written by the Irish poet Seamus Heaney. The Cure at Troy takes Sophocles' story of Philoctetes and translates it into the stage as a play. And it's very funny. So Seamus Heaney took the original story, written by Sophocles, and translated it into a more modern meaning for modern people. And it's very successful and quite a wonderful, funny stage play. And if I were to ever direct this, I would use funny people, because it's very hilarious and very dark and very foreboding. And the humor is what will save it. So if and when we choose to adapt something, if we choose to adapt one life in one city into another life in another city, or if we choose to take a movie and adapt it into a musical, which happens a lot, we always have to be aware and respectful of the intention of the original author. And that is a difficult thing to learn and to know unless you've written and unless you've done this before. You have to honor the spirit of the intention. And sometimes you know it and sometimes you don't know it. And that's why it's really important, if you want to adapt something, that you have a very basic and deep understanding of what's being said, to see if you're able to adapt it from one language into another language, as Jana did with my English language script, into her visual ASL language performance. And sometimes we don't know if we've been successful or not until an audience tells us that didn't work. And how many times have you seen a book translated into a television show or made into a movie, and you look at it and you say, wait a minute, that's not the book. Now, we have a major incident coming up of a very successful book being translated once again to the big screen. Dune. Now, you hear people talking about Dune and they say, oh, it's pretty good, it works. But the problem is the book is so wide-ranging and so long that you really need to have 2 movies or a television series, because one 3-hour movie is not going to cover the story. And as we talked about yesterday with the poetics, plot, character, thought, diction, music, and spectacle, and we related it to Squid Game, you make the same application to Dune. Plot, character, thought, diction, music, spectacle. Well, if you're only really adapting the first part of the story, you can tell that story as part 1 or act 1. But if it doesn't make sense in the end, with plot, character, thought, diction, music, spectacle, then you have a problem as the person who's doing the adaptation. And in the case of a movie, it's sometimes the screenwriter, but it's really usually always the director. And sometimes you can take the original intention, like let's say the Godfather books by Mario Puzo, and translate them on the big screen in a better way, with a better story than was originally intended on the page of the book. You add things, you take things away. There are things you don't mention in the movie version that appear in the book version. And that's part of adaptation as well. And that's why a lot of writers who write books want to write their own scripts for the movies, so they make sure what's important is included in the movie. And a lot of producers and directors don't want that, because oftentimes the book writer cannot make the translation, the adaptation themselves, from the page to the stage, from the page to the movie. But writers always think they can. And I always encourage my fellow writers and my students that if you want to be creative, always write the book first. You can have a very good living adapting other people's work. But if you want to control the project from the very beginning, write the originating source. As a friend of mine told me many years ago, he had a student who had taken a very successful book, did not get the rights to make the book into a musical, but just as a personal project, wanted to go out, take the book, write songs, write a script, write the music, and show that he had the power of adaptation. Now that was great. It was a wonderful production that was never produced because they could not get the rights to the original book that would allow them to make an adaptation of it as a musical on the stage. So all of that work this student did to prove talent, in the end, proved to be nothing of the sort, because the rights were not cleared. And my friend said, in great dismay, that people, students who do that, who take the work of others and adapt it and change it into something else, without clearing the rights or getting permission to do so, well, it's like going up to someone's beautiful car and washing it and polishing it. And you spent all that time and all that money on making someone else's car look beautiful. And the person who owns the car comes out and says, well, thank you very much. I didn't ask you to do this. I'm not going to pay you to do this. But I'm not going to put dirt back on it. And you get in the car and you drive away. And all that work and all that passion and all that heartache that went into cleaning that car and making it perfect was for nothing. Now, some people will say, oh, the experience was so great. Oh, look, the student proved the talent. And all of that may be true. But in the end, you want to make sure that if you're adapting something, you have permission and the right to do it. And if it's for pay and for profit, that you're getting paid. And if you're smart, like Seamus Haney, you take a very old play, Sophocles, Philoctetes, and you translate it. Old scripts, old stories, usually written before 1921, let's say, just to be safe, are in the public domain. And if something is in the public domain, all of Shakespeare, all of the old Greek, Roman mythology stories, they're all fair game. You can take that and adapt it into a musical or into a book or another play and not get in trouble whatsoever. Because the work belongs to you, and the underlying original intent of the author is there for you to polish and clean and make money off of and make it your own. And there are some things in the public domain that haven't quite yet reached the public domain. And that means usually, if there's a book that's going to be going into the public domain, the copyright's going to run out for whatever reason, and you try to adapt it, sometimes you can get the rights to adapt it. Sometimes people say, my book is dying. You have the rights to go ahead and make it into a musical, and you do it, and everybody succeeds, and the original author gets paid, and you get paid, everybody gets paid, everybody's happy. But the thing to always remember in these cases of adaptation is who owns the underlying rights. And if you write the book yourself first for whatever you're doing, if you're doing a piece of art, if you're doing a sculpture, if you're doing a play, if you're doing a movie, if you're doing a television series, if you are writing the original intention, the book, you preserve all future rights for yourself. It becomes your annuity, where you can decide what you want to do in the entertainment value of the extra life of your book. And maybe someone will come up to you and say, I have $1 million. I'll pay you for the rights to your book to make it into a movie. And if they're talented and wonderful as you, and you're busy writing other books, you let them take it. Take their $1 million and let them go try to make you $10 more million off their rights to go and produce the work. It can be very helpful to you. Now, as we wrap up our lovely live stream today, I want to leave you with just a final thought that's based on everything we've talked about today. We've talked about closed captioning. We've talked about streaming live music. We've talked about adaptation, American Sign Language, an American gargoyle from 5 years ago today who is still haunting us as of this moment. And it's really a question that I want to leave you with to think about and to ponder. And that is this. How do you measure the value of a life? How do you measure the value of a life? Not just your life, but the life of someone else. And maybe it's a little bit of an adaptation, where you don't know their life, but you know your life and your experience. And maybe their experience isn't your experience, but you still try to understand them. And you hope that they try to understand you. So wisdom comes to those who wait, and the security of knowing a life is having lived the life. And too often the satisfaction of a life comes only near the end of the life in reflection. Now we should be evaluating our lives every moment that we live. At the end of the day, at the start of every day, what have I done? Have I contributed to the betterment of the world? Have I been negative? And it's this ongoing checking of yourself against your expectation and your hopes and your dreams that leads you into understanding what makes a life worth living. And the most important thing for you to remember is this. Your life belongs only to you. Other people might try to tell you what to do. Other people might try to claim you, might try to restrict you. Other people might want to punish you, restrict you. But in the end, the final decisions about where you go and what path you take forward belongs only to you. And people who tell you that you don't own your own life and that your life does not belong in your hands are people you cannot trust and people you must run from. And that may sound dramatic and awful, but you'll never be happy unless you feel that you are in control of your life and that you know that the decisions you make, right or wrong, belong to you and you alone. And some people are into controlling other people just for the fun of it. Some people say they're parents, friends, spouses, boyfriends. Some people just don't want to let you be you. And I am asking you today to stand up for yourself and let the world belong to you. And don't let other people decide who you are or define you. Face the promise of your life. You are the originating creator of the life you are living today and the life you will have tomorrow. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. And I hope I'll see you tomorrow. And for now, I say, I'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for being part of this live stream.